Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Empower Hour, our first interview post convention. And we are super excited to have on this morning a top 10 producer in 2023, mother of four, owner of FFL Trinity, Miss Johnna Komara. Johnna, how are you, my dear?
Thank you for that amazing intro. I am doing wonderful. How are you?
I am awesome. I am so awesome. And like, John, there's so much to unpack here. I know this is going to be an incredible hour. And so many, one of the things that we want to do here on Empower Hour is just bring incredible value from top producers across FFL within Tri State, outside of Tri State, and to leave them, feeling empowered, having listened to the top producers across our platform here at Family First Life. Because one thing's for sure, man, like nobody is like super special here at Family First Life. We just have a lot of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And you, my dear, like you were straight up crushing it. This past year you served 936 families, and you're a mother of four. Wow. How inspiring is that? Can y'all start dropping some like tens across in the chat, because that is incredibly inspiring, Johnna, and we're going to get into that. But we like to find out a little bit about the producer, personally. So tell us a little bit about, I know how you kind of got into the business, but let everybody know a little bit about you and how you kind of got in with FFL.
Sure. So I started off at a different IMO before I came to FFL, and my upline had heard about FFL and told us, we got to move over here. The comp is so much higher, and we just have access to these other different lead sources and things like that. So we made the move just, based on the higher comp for the most part, and the ability to be a non-captive agent. And I started off in an agency. I was there for a while, and then I left for a bit and went to another IMO that there was a lot of hype about for a little while, and then came back after I realized the hype wasn't real. And yeah, so I've been back, and since I came back, that was kind of when things took off for me, not after too long. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've been with FFL for, this is your third year?
This would be, I would probably say, my fourth year.
This is your fourth year? Okay. And one of the things, I met you, Johnna, last year at convention, right? When we were in Miami. And we were just kind of like, we were everybody was kind of like getting food and everything. And we had a little small congregation of producers start gathering around. And that's when I met you. And you were so incredibly humble. And you're like, yeah, I just kind of set some kind of record. And I don't know. I was like, well, what do you mean some kind of record? And everybody, Johnna was like, yeah, well, I guess there's because I issue paid like 200 families in a month. I was like, what? That was crazy. And so like that's an incredible amount of families protected in 1 month. And you're all virtual, right? That's 100% virtual.
Right.
And this is a telesales platform, right? I was talking to one of the agents, within Champions last year about that. I was like, dude, she's straight up crushing it. And so I kept my eye on you at that point. That caught my attention. And that's something that a lot of agents on here would love to aspire to. And that takes a lot of dedication, a lot of consistency, right? I'm guessing that you had to be incredibly disciplined in your schedule, right?
I did. I had a few months to hit Hall of Fame for the first time, and I just really locked in and kind of, did the numbers, and, was working with a friend on like, okay, how do we make this happen? They helped me kind of like break down the numbers of, what I need, X amount of leads, X amount of people helping me dial them, and, this many appointments per day. So it actually, the numbers just like worked out. And I started, once I implemented a few of these things, I basically took, like most of what I had in my bank account, I think I probably had like 10,000 in my bank account that I had built up, producing
Mhm.
50 or 60 uh, families a month for like 1 or 2 months. And then I was like, okay, I need to get this up to like 100 to 120 families a month um, for me to hit my goal here to hit Hall of Fame. So yeah, I just took most of my money and I just invested it on getting like a ton of leads, getting another dialer to help, book the appointments, and then production just skyrocketed.
Wow. How did that make you feel? Taking the majority of your money and investing in yourself, right? Was that scary?
It was scary. But at that point I had proved to myself that that it worked, because after I had my fourth baby, as a single mom, I had just gotten out of the field around being like 8 months pregnant, because I needed to be home working. And I pretty much worked up until the day that I gave birth, and the day that I got out of the hospital, I started working again. And I was just determined to, take it to the next level. At that point, I also had, a legal case, a custody case, coming on me at the same time that I was giving birth. And it was a really stressful and painful time for me. So like my back was like truly against the wall, and it was like it was like do or die. So,
Mhm.
at that point, I made my first big investment. I dropped X amount of mailers to produce, I had my first big month of like 60 families. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll just, drop this much more to get to where I need to be. So when I dropped it for the 60 families, that already proved that it worked. So it wasn't as scary when I, went bigger. But yeah,
Right.
it's scary. I mean, it was just like, okay, well, either it's gonna work or not. But like what was more scary was the thought of like losing primary custody. So I just did it.
That I just got shivers right there. Like what's choose your heart, right? Which one's harder, right? Losing custody or the $10,000. You were like, I'm going all in. That's truly inspiring, John. Girl, I love you. You're like my favorite person in FFL right now.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And I'll tell you,
Yeah,
it was a success. I was able to hire the best attorney in the area and win my case. So, having money definitely helps you win legal cases.
absolutely. What a blessing that is. Now, so you proved to yourself that all right, it was less scary investing more money. Let's unpack that a little bit, right?
Mhm.
So when you had that goal of hitting, you know, Hall of Fame with 400 families, what was your original investment? And then what did you have to take that up to? And how scary was that?
Right. Yeah, I was anywhere between 1 to 2K a week of investing in leads. I mean, I think around that time I was used to investing around 2K a week. And anything beyond that just seemed like a ton to me. And
Oh,
there were weeks also where I just didn't even want to buy leads, where I had a bad week and I'm just like, should I buy leads this week? Like, or should I pay my
RCA.
bills and get groceries? You know what I mean? So it's like I had to basically choose at certain points, like, am I going to buy groceries this week or buy leads? And I'll tell you, anytime I chose to buy leads and invest in my business because I already knew that I could write insurance, it worked out. And I already knew that I'm a hard worker. Obviously, if you buy leads, you have to work them, but you know.
yeah, that's what a story. Now you had all right, so there's like what 3-4 months to hit Hall of Fame, you said?
Yeah, I think it was about 4 months.
About 4 months. And you had issue paid how many families up to that point?
I was I think I was like 350K away from Hall of Fame.
All right,
No,
350K.
how far away was I from Hall of Fame? I mean, I was pretty far. I think no, I don't think it was that much. I think it was like 150 or 200K. I don't remember exactly. Maybe around 200K. I was
Okay,
away.
around 200K. You know what, Johnna? A lot of folks would have been like, you know what? I'll just go ahead and finish strong. I'll do the best that I can. I'll go ahead and do it the next year,
Yeah.
right? But you're like, no, I'm going to do this thing, and you reverse engineered it, right?
Mhm.
Which we can, just pick a goal and then reverse engineer anything. Like you said, go ahead. How many leads do I need to have? You already knew what your closing rate was and everything else, show rates. You just needed to do more of it.
Right.
So let that be a lesson to everybody, man. Like if That's truly inspirational. Pick your heart, whatever it is that you want to do. Which one's harder, not
Yeah.
hitting the goal or staying where you are? Right.
And I think it's, it's really important to understand that even if you're not having a situation like I had where your back is against the wall, like you have to put yourself in that mindset because, you being broke and moving through life, just barely making it and, not being able to provide the life you want for yourself and your family, that just has to be unacceptable in your mind. And that has to be like your back against the wall situation. Like you have to just wake up every day like ready to go to war for your life and for yourself and make it happen.
Yeah,
So those situations might come up later where you really need the money, but you want to be prepared for those. You don't want to be like where I was.
absolutely. Now, I think, all right, so your agency is FFL Trinity. And I know in researching you that you're a woman of faith, you have strong faith, strong spirituality, you have a mindfulness about you
Mhm.
that I admire. I truly do. And so when you're like, your mindset, you truly have to believe, right, Johnna, that you're worthy, right?
Right.
And that God does have a better plan for you, right? And you just have to walk in that faith, right? Tell us a little bit about that journey for you. How that progressed in your career.
Sure. So I'm a single mom of 4 kids. So my kids are 13, 7, 3, and a year and a half.
So one
And
recently had a birthday.
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
In January, she just turned
your
3.
3-year-old, yeah.
So, but yeah, around the time that my first child, my 13-year-old was 16 months, or I'm sorry, 6 months old, just a new baby. That's when I left her father and I was pretty much on my own and I didn't have any money. I was a stay-at-home mom at that point of a baby. And um, but the one thing I always carried was like a very innate, strong faith. Like I always had this like connection, like feeling of being connected to God, of a very like spiritual, just self-awareness, I guess. So I think that faith, like I just like over the course of like the last 13 years where it's been like, struggle after struggle after struggle before, finally wasn't a struggle anymore. I mean, it was just like one thing after the other. God like had proved that he was there for me. And like my faith was always the thing that I felt like would just kind of like manifest God pulling through for me. And the stronger my faith got, the more it's just I became content with whatever was happening in that moment, like knowing that it's going to be okay. Um, so I mean, and that, with the insurance industry, it's been, I mean, it's been like that too. Like I've always just had this like this sense or this knowing that I was going to, um, you know, have a lot of wealth at some point in my life, that I was going to be successful. And I think just having that knowing, like hearing that little voice inside that that it's God saying that like he wants the best for me, he like the desires that I have are all the things that he wants for me. So believing that and just like trusting God for it, and me like just doing the work every day and showing up so that I can work as a co-creator with God with my faith to like allow these things to come into fruition.
I
So
love it.
yeah.
I love that. That is so huge. And so and definitely helping 936 families, you definitely have accumulated some wealth over the past year. So that's
I feel a lot more
so
comfortable.
that's awesome. I'm so happy for you in that. Now, one of the things that and I knew that one of your kids recently had a birthday, because I was like, all right, you had a girl, your 13-year-old, who you took on a cruise. All
Yeah,
right.
and
And then you
my
had a
7-year-old
boy,
came too.
and then your 7-year-old's a boy, and then your girl, who I thought was 2, she just had a birthday. She's 3, and then you have a baby boy, right? And I was doing a lot of research on you, and anybody, I would say definitely go check out Johnna's TNL interview with Mike Sizer, right? Because you were like you're a traveler, girl. You were like in Maryland, North Carolina, went out to California. Great stories. You went out to Vermont, back out to California. Entrepreneurial mindset. You had, the cleaning business, Happy Mama Cleaning or something like that, right?
Happy Mama
And
Housekeeping.
yeah, Happy Mama Housekeeping. And so great interview with Mike Sizer. I love Mike. He's a great interviewer. He makes you completely at ease, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of interviewing with him twice in my career with FFL. Love that dude. And the staff is always so great at FFL, right? So you got the sushi when you were there.
Woman did almost a million.
Hey, John, can you mute out, please?
Sorry.
That's all right. And so definitely go check out her TNL there, because it's a lot of great information and very inspirational. Now, Johnna, you're 100% virtual. You like to do now. You were in the field at your practice company. You were virtual, and then when you came on board with FFL, you went back out into the field, and now you're 100% virtual. Now, are you doing Zoom or are you just doing telesales?
I do a mix of both.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think, helping 936 families, one of the things that I admire most about you is, folks don't really care how much you know until they know how much you care. And you're very empathetic, and you come across as a very caring person. And that's how you've helped so many people, I would assume.
100%.
But it takes more than that. It does take a process, right? And I'm sure you're very regimented in your process. Can you help break that down? What does that look like, whether it's a Zoom appointment or if it's a telesales? I'm sure that your process is the same, right?
It is. Yeah. So my process is very streamlined. I'm very to the point. I run my appointments every 45 minutes. So, and I'm usually back to back, like 14 to 15 appointments a day. So I've streamlined my process. I feel I have a good skills with communication and conveying the message that I want to get across with the feeling that needs to come with it to help them connect to what I'm saying. So
Okay.
I feel like I'm just very direct with people. Like, is this something you need or not? Like, we're talking about your family, your home, I feel like I have just very good, like, strong posture. And, I kind of, I'm good at guiding people down the path that they should go. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to tell everybody that they need to get insurance if they don't get insurance. I tell people all the time, if it doesn't make sense for them and they don't need it based on what they already have going on, that they don't need it. So, I always try to do what's right for the person. But, I do fight for them to make the right choice if they need it, but they're hesitating on moving forward with it. And I'm not scared to do that. So there is, I'm very, like, sweet and nice. And I like to laugh with people. I like to connect with them. But when it comes down to business, I'm very direct, and I'm not afraid to say things that, that are scary to say when you're a new agent. So yeah, so I mean, I can go through my presentation. I mean, it is pretty quick if you want me to.
Sure. Yeah. I love that. Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, number one, let's do this. Let's set it up a little bit. What type leads are you calling?
Okay. So I have the interactive voice response mortgage protection mailer. So what they are is like a traditional mortgage protection mailer, sort of. Instead of them filling it out and sending it in, they call in. So it's call in mortgage, and then it goes through a robotic voice response system that, takes their answers. They answer the questions, and if they answer all the questions, and that means it's a high intent complete lead. If they answer some of them, it's like an incomplete lead, which I still sell plenty of those.
Okay. Now, are you getting those from the CRM?
No, actually, I have a private vendor that I'm working with, and he's actually a friend of mine, and his company is pretty new, so he's looking for more clients. So if you guys want after these leads,
absolutely,
I can definitely help you get connected.
We'll connect. If you want to put it in the chat later, you can. So that's awesome. Dropping bombs already, helping everybody.
Yeah,
love it. All right, so you're doing mortgage protection. A lot of folks here, do mortgage protection. So yeah, we can go ahead and do a quick role play, right? If you want.
Okay, so we'll just do you as a single person. Obviously we never do one-leggers. If somebody's a one-legger, then you just say, I'm sorry, but it is required that your spouse is here. Period. Very
Thanks for saying that.
Yes.
It's a waste of nurse.
And a lot of times we'll be like, no, it's okay. I make the decisions, or it's okay. I can do it. She doesn't need to be here. And a lot of times you'll just be like, oh, okay. But, I promise you 100% of the time, you're never going to get that sale.
Yeah. Let me ask you real quick before we get into that, because you brought up a really, really good point, John. Like I'm huge on not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
What is your response to somebody that says it? Like your response?
I say, oh, well, if they say that the spouse isn't there for some reason, say, oh, okay, well, we'll have to reschedule because it is required that they're there. And then they might say like, oh, well, we're just looking for, I just need to get some quotes. Like she doesn't have to be here. Like I'm the primary person. And I'll say, I completely understand that. That you want quotes, but this is actually a process. This is, we have to have a discussion and create a plan for your family. And that involves all three of us to have that discussion and to find the best solutions for you guys that we all agree on. And that's why it's super important that your significant other is here for that conversation.
I love that. Yeah. I love it. All right, cool. All right, go ahead. I'm single. Don't tell my wife.
Okay.
Do I have any kids?
Yeah. Say you have,
right, cool.
Have a son. Okay. And he's your beneficiary.
All right. Perfect.
Okay. Hi, Shannon. How are you?
I'm awesome. Who's this?
So my name is Johnna. I'm the underwriter that was assigned to go over the mortgage protection with you. I just wanted to verify a couple details here before we got started. Okay, Shannon?
Okay, perfect.
All right. So you have a new mortgage for $300,000 with Chase Bank. Is that right?
Yeah, they actually sold it.
Okay. So, but the mortgage is $300,000, correct?
It is. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And you're paying $2,600 a month on that. Is that right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
My dialers get that information. So, okay. All right, got it. And then let's see. So does anybody live in the home with you?
My son.
Your son. Okay. And he would be your beneficiary?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. So I'm going to explain to you a little bit about what I do and what the process is, Shannon. So again, my name is Johnna Komara. I'm the underwriter that was assigned to go over the mortgage protection with you. So my job is basically to be like the eyes and ears for the insurance carriers. Now, I work with all of the A-rated insurance carriers in the state of Texas that offer the mortgage protection plans. And like I said, my job is to be like the eyes and ears for them. So they don't require any medical exam or blood draws or anything like that. They just have me, the underwriter, talk to you to verify your eligibility and go over suitable options with you. So I just need to ask you some questions to see what type of mortgage protection that you will qualify for, to see what would actually make sense for your family. And then I can put together a plan that's suitable for your unique situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
It does actually. Yeah.
Great. Awesome. So it's just you, your son's the beneficiary. Now tell me a little bit about why we're here today. I mean, are you looking to have some coverage for paying off the mortgage if something happens to you? How much do you know about mortgage protection?
I don't know much about mortgage protection, but I'm in the car business, right, Johnna, and I'm concerned about the life insurance plan at work. Car dealerships are pretty cheap, and I don't think that it's going to go ahead and cover that amount that I need. I'm a single dad. My son is 18. He does live with me. I've got sole custody. I just want to make sure that, if anything happens to me, that everything's taken care of, that he's got a place to stay, because he wouldn't be able to afford this, and I don't want him out on the street.
Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. It's definitely important to have your own private insurance and not rely just on, work insurance. We always recommend that to people, to have a private policy, and work is just a bonus. So 100% on that. And I completely get it. You'd like to have, your mortgage covered to leave the house to your son if something happens to you.
Yep.
I would want that too as a parent, which I am. I have 4 kids. So
You got 4.
I do. I have 4.
All right.
All right. So I need to ask you some questions to see what you qualify for. Shannon, what is your date of birth?
June 20, 1965. I'm old.
Okay. And your height and weight?
5'9", 200.
Okay. And do you smoke tobacco?
Negative.
Any health problems?
No.
Are you prescribed any medication, or have you been in the last 10 years or so?
Well, the doctor said that, my cholesterol was high, and he wanted me to go on some a statin, I think it was, but I refused. I wouldn't go on it. I just decided to go ahead and ramp up my exercise.
Okay.
So we're watching it.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good health profile. I don't see why we can't get you approved for, the most comprehensive coverage we have.
Yeah.
Let me look at your options. So now I'm logging into Amerigo.
Well,
okay.
yeah.
To pull up some options. At your age, I'm probably going to look at a term 100 product to get you something, that's more reasonably priced. I'm going to let you know that there are, usually for people over, what is your age right now in this appointment?
58.
58. Okay. So we could go either way as far as like mortgage coverage. Oh, the other thing I forgot to ask is your income. So before I do the health profile, I'm like, okay, now what do you do for work, Shannon?
I'm a sales manager in car industry.
Okay, that's right. You said that. And then how much are you bringing in per month net approximately?
About 180,000.
Oh, a month?
Oh no, a year.
Oh, a year.
I wish.
I was like, wow, I got to get into what you're doing. All right.
I'm looking for something else. They're killing me.
All right. So you're making about 15K a month or so. That's not too bad. All right. So how important is it to you to have the full mortgage coverage? Because, Shannon, at your age and with your health, I mean, you do still qualify for full coverage. It's just so you understand at your age, it's going to be a little more expensive. So, I just want to know how important it is to you to have the full thing covered. And if you're willing to pay more, or we could look at something that's going to cost you less that, would give your son, maybe a year's worth of mortgage payments, but, it's not going to cover the full mortgage.
No, I need it paid off.
You need paid off. Okay. So
Yeah.
it's something you're willing to invest in. It's important to you, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Got it. All right. So I pull up the options.
But price is important, Johnna.
Huh?
Like price is important.
Price is important. Okay. So we'll work on finding something that's comfortable. So I'm going to pull a couple options. Shannon, just let me know if these prices are too much for you. Just please communicate with that to me.
Sure.
And I can adjust it according to what's comfortable. Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. So it looks like, if we were to do a 30-year term for 300K, that would be quite a lot. So I mean, I'll tell you what that is, but I'm not expecting.
Yeah, shoot me straight.
Option. Yeah. So that one would be, about $475 a month. If that works for you, great. Otherwise, what I would suggest is that we do like a 15 or a 20-year term, or we can do a lower amount of coverage for the 30 years to kind of get the price down. Is it important to you to have that protection for a full 30 years, or do you think having it for like 15 or 20 years would be suitable?
Well, you can give me an option on it. Could I always change it later?
Well, no, because as you get older, there's always a chance that you might not qualify for, this coverage later if any type of health conditions arise. Also, the cost of insurance is going to get a lot more expensive as you get older. So I would recommend going that route.
Okay, got it. Now, it is a 30-year mortgage. I'm probably going to pay it off earlier.
Do you think
do you have what other kind? Do you have a 20 and do you have a 25?
Yeah. So if we did a 20-year for the 300,000, that would put you around 323 a month. Okay. If we did a 25-year, it would be 412. So
412.
Yeah.
475, 412, and 3-ish. 3 what?
Like 3 something.
Yeah.
320. I don't know.
Got it. Now, is that just a straight death benefit?
Oh, sorry. I'm not even doing my presentation right. Okay, so before I give the prices, this is what I say. Okay, so I'm going to explain how the coverage works to you, Shannon. This is before I've given any prices, guys, sorry. So I'm going to explain how the protection works. So if you were to pass away or become terminally ill, it would pay out the tax-free cash so that your beneficiary can pay out the mortgage. So, they're going to pay off the mortgage, whatever's left over at that point goes in your son's pocket, which is pretty cool. It also protects you against critical and chronic illnesses. So if you were to get diagnosed with a cancer, heart attack, stroke, kidney disease, ALS, major organ failure, or some kind of chronic condition where you require the assistance of another person to help you perform 2 out of the 6 activities of daily living, such as eating, bathing, dressing, toileting, transferring continence, without substantial assistance from another person, or with substantial, you can file a claim and they'll advance you up to 100% of the 300,000. So that's really important, you know, especially for people as they get older to have illness protection. These are a lot of the major illnesses that people tend to get in old age. God forbid it never happens to you. But yeah, that is, you know, really important to think about having that coverage because, you know, if something happens, if you can't work or bring home income, at least you have something there to help you out. Okay, makes sense?
So if I get sick, then I get a check.
Yes, as long as it's a qualifying condition. I mean, it's not any kind of illness, but yeah,
so if I break my leg, I'm not getting anything, right?
If you break your leg, and you need somebody to help take care of you and perform 2 out of 6 of those activities of daily living for 90 days straight, then because it's a really severe break, I don't know. I think that would count as a qualification, actually. But yeah, that's
so it have to be the 2 out of the 6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, well that makes sense. That's important. All right, that's an added benefit. Okay, so it helps me. It helps me and my son. Got it.
Yes,
okay,
100%. Cool. So those are, so then now we're fast forwarding. I gave you the options.
Yeah.
So those are the options I gave you. Do any of those seem like they'll work for you, Shannon?
Yeah, I mean, less is always good, but you said I might not be able to qualify later. If I pay this off, the goal was 70.
Yeah, and if you pay it off, I mean, you could always cancel the insurance early if you want to. You don't have to keep it for the full 30 years. But, you know, it is good to keep it for the full 30 years because then you'll still have the protection. It's just going to pay out cash at the end of the day if something happens. So.
Yeah. I'd like to pay it off in 20. I know I'll pay it off in 25. And 25 was how much?
That was the 423.
That was 423. I think that the 423 would work, Johnna. I appreciate you getting me the information. I'm really going to need to think about this for a little bit. Can I get back to you?
Yeah, I mean, I could give you my number, of course, if you really feel like, you know, you have to think about it, but why, what's holding you up as far as, you know, not making a decision to move forward today?
Like I said, I wanted to make sure that I'm getting the best rate. You've been like super, super helpful. So I am kind of shopping around, you know, it happens to me all the time in the car business, you know what I mean? And people just want to make sure they're getting the best rate. That's really what I want to do and go over my budget and make sure that that's good.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally understandable. Just so you know, Sharon, I'm sorry, Shannon, from from the beginning of our conversation, I told you I work with all of the A-rated insurance carriers in your state. You remember that?
I do.
Okay, so this coverage that I'm offering you is through Americo. They are an A-rated carrier. They're the one that I trust the most for mortgage protection. They're not necessarily the cheapest. It's not always about the cheapest. It's always about the highest quality. Okay, so for me, you know, my job is to make sure you're in the best possible position. Now I go with Americo because they have the 100% for death, terminal, critical illness, chronic illness. They're going to get you approved fast, and you're going to have really good customer service when it comes to dealing with death claims, you know, things like that. I trust them the most. That's who I carry my coverage through for my family. So, you know, you get what you pay for, even with insurance. So that's why I chose America for you. And I really do care about making sure you're in the best possible position with your insurance. So yeah. And as far as your budget goes, I completely get it. But just so you know, Shannon, like, do you think that this works for your budget? Like your strongest sense is, does this work for your budget?
Yeah. I feel pretty confident about that.
Okay. Perfect. So like I told you, all we can do today is the application. So once we get you approved, Shannon, that's gonna issue the policy for you after you get approved. You know, we can adjust that date if we need to, but you're gonna have a 30-day free look window. Okay, during that time, you're gonna get the policy in the mail. Okay, and then I show them the policy. You're gonna get the policy in the mail. You have 30 days to look through it, make sure you're happy with anything. And if you need to make any adjustments to the price, if you find, you know, 2 weeks from now, your budget says you can afford something otherwise, you know, we can just make a simple call in and adjust that for you within the first month. So it's really no big deal.
Okay. What's the application process like?
It takes about 10 minutes. I do it for you right here. I can share my screen with you and go through it. And then, yeah, we should be able to see if we can get you approved on the spot. Sometimes underwriting does have to review and, make sure that you can get approved if anything comes up on the health report. But it's a very, very simple process.
All right, cool. Let's do it.
All right, cool. Sounds great.
Awesome.
And then I start the application. What's your middle initial? Boom.
You said the same thing I always say. Like, that's the staple of mine. What's your middle initial? I love it.
Yeah. And then guys, I want to go over a certain part of the application too, when you get to the banking information and the tie down. Okay. So throughout the application, obviously I'm having a lot of fun with them. We're past the point of like, and that's when I really start to have fun with them, build rapport, build trust, make them like me a lot. And then, when we get to the banking information, I say, okay, so let me think of how the application goes. So I say, okay, so just so you know, if you're approved, what's going to happen is this policy is going to issue immediately. You're going to be protected immediately. Okay, so the coverage is going to go in force. God forbid, if something happens tomorrow, you're covered. It's going to pay out the full amount to your family. The first premium will draft within 48 hours. It's going to issue immediately unless we specify otherwise. Is that okay? They always say yes, like 99% of the time, unless they really don't have the funds. And then I go, okay, so we're already talking about payment. All right, now will you be using a checking or savings account for the premium payments? Checking. Okay, perfect. And I just need the routing number and the account numbers. And I say very confidently, I don't squirm at all.
Do you ever go into like, hey, Johnna, and who do you bank with again?
Sometimes I ask who they bank with. It's just the Amerigo application doesn't ask it. So it's not like I don't always ask it. I just say, what is your routing and account number? Sometimes they'll tell me the routing number and then I'll type it in Google and I'll be like, oh, okay, so that's Chase Bank, right? And then they're like, wow, she knows my bank.
Yeah, one of the things I love that. One of the things that I say, because it's always good to have different things to say, right? Mm-hmm. Is and Johnna, who was that you bank with? Chase. Oh, okay. I just need you to verify your routing number for me. We have on file, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Right. I just Google it real quick and they're like, oh, yeah, that is right. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then, oh, which one did you want to use? Checking or savings? Checking. Oh, what was that account number? Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I love how you do that. That's smooth. What do you do, Johnna, when, you're asking for the social, right? So you start with the middle initial, you're opening up the application. And, because they do ask for the social before some of the other information, right? Do you skip over that and then go right back to it? What's your process for that?
I mean, sometimes I'll do that if I don't know. I kind of just like go with the flow and how I'm like feeling, but yeah, I usually just ask it straight up and just like, okay, what's your social? Right. Like I don't hesitate. I don't show signs of like uneasiness about asking the questions. Like my posture is like I'm the freaking senior underwriter here and I'm here to help you out and we're getting this done. So I just don't squirm at all when I ask those questions.
I got it. So you're just very direct.
You have to be like it's like Jedi. It's like being a Jedi. You lead them where you want them to go. And you like with your mind and how you with what you're projecting with your mind, they pick up on that. They pick up when you're feeling afraid or uneasy or, just not right. And that's why when I'm having a crappy day, I don't sell a lot of insurance because they pick up on the fact that I don't want to be there that day.
You pick Now, what do you say? All right, John, I'm not too comfortable, giving you that information.
Yeah, it happens every once in a while. I'll say I completely get it. One thing I have not been doing for a long time, which I probably should do, is show them my license and credentials and everything up front. But but I usually don't get a lot of pushback on that either. Like they just follow along with what I'm saying. But if they do start to feel like that, I'm like, no problem. I completely understand. You don't know me. Let me just share my screen with you real quick. I'm going to pull up my license and show you my driver's license and let you take a screenshot of it. Okay. You can look up this number on the Department of Insurance website and I show them right there on the screen. And most of the time that's good enough for them.
Okay. And what if they say, why do you need that?
I would say, well, the insurance carrier has to be able to identify you if they're going to pay you out $300,000.
Oh, there you go. There you go. One of the things that we have a habit of saying at Champions is saying, and which I stole from another I got it from. Is like, hey, in order for the insurance company to verify your medical records, prescription history, and then to match your future death certificate to the policy, they need your social. What's that?
Yeah, I say that too. Like, it's for so that they can run the medical report and
Yeah.
the driving report to make sure you're eligible for coverage.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Identify
And
those.
like I love your process, man. It's like so simple, so direct, right? Your energy's great. You come across as genuine, right? And caring. So a lot of nuggets. Like who all feels that they're going to be able to implement what Johnna has provided us today to go help protect a client this morning? Drop a 10, right? If you think so. I know I'm going to go ahead and implement some of the things that you're doing, because you did 936, girl. That's fire. That's like more than double than what I did this past year. And so I'm definitely listening to you. I'm going to be much more direct and come from a position of professionalism. We're here to help you. This is what's required. Right.
Right.
Yeah. Now, how important is it for you? Tell us a little bit about your lead spend now.
I will, but I do want to share the tie down, Shannon, because that's really important for consistency.
Yeah,
okay.
Go ahead. Perfect.
So after they get approved, I say, okay, congratulations, you were approved. So that's great. Congratulations on protecting your family and taking this step today. Like, I'm really happy for you. It's super important. So I'm going to tell you the last few details here before I let you go. So within about 7 to 10 days, you're going to get your policy in the mail. It looks like this. Okay, again, this is my policy. You're going to have that 30 days to read through everything, ask any questions, make any adjustments if you need to. Okay, so just give me a call, and I'll help you with whatever you need regarding that if anything comes up. Okay. All right.
Okay.
And if you get any other letters in the mail, Shannon, this is very important. Make sure to throw those away and disregard them. If you fill them out, you're going to regret it, because people are just going to call you incessantly over and over again trying to sell you stuff. Okay. I'm the underwriter that was assigned to help you, and I got you set up with the most comprehensive mortgage protection that there is with America, because they offer the 100% for death, terminal, critical illness, and chronic illness. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, perfect. If anybody does get a hold of you about mortgage protection, just let them know you got it taken care of. Sometimes they'll try to say things to confuse you, like your file was flagged for review or the underwriter made a mistake, and just know that that's all just like sneaky sales tactics from salespeople. Okay.
Wow. Okay. Thanks for letting me know that.
Yeah, 100%. That's about it. Did you have any questions for me?
No, I'm good. How do I get in touch with you?
Let me give you my number. So it's 828 782 1528. And then, make sure you lock that in your phone. And again, please call me, text me if you have any questions at any time. Okay.
Okay. Got it.
All right. And were you happy with my service today?
Absolutely.
Good. Well, I'm really glad that I was able to help you out. And, I'll definitely be your agent for life. If you have friends or family that need good insurance where, they could use my help, feel free to pass along my information to them. Happy to help them as well. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That is so strong. Like, I just want to make sure. I don't know if everybody caught it, but I sure as hell did. Like, when I was going to go somewhere else, she like completely redirected the interviewer and said, "No, I'm going to do this right now." You're like, I'm going into my tie down right now. That's what we're doing next.
Yeah.
I love that. You're like so direct. I love it. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's what we're doing. So,
it's so important because, you don't want to be chasing your tail with chargebacks all the time. And, if you don't lock down your appointments, people are going to, especially if you're writing America, you guys, because, it's really important that people understand that the quality of what you're offering them, because then they're not going to drop their policies because of a cheaper price. And when they know that their family is, going to deal with a smooth, death claim process and, smooth customer service and 100% living benefits, and, they're in good shape and they trust you, then, they're way less likely to cancel those policies. And, you're going to keep more of your money. So, I mean, my persistency is usually between around like 85 to 90%.
Strong.
Using this tie down. So
that is strong. Because that was my next question. What is your persistency? Because America, and one of the things that I've done is I'll compare like America to maybe Prosperity, so that folks understand the value of America. But you're just leading straight with America, right? What is your breakdown as far as the amount of carriers that you're using? Of course, we got to go with what they get approved for, right? But what does your breakdown look like percentage wise between America, Prosperity, Mutual of Omaha, and who else that you may be using?
Like how often am I using them compared to everybody else?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Like a
I use them
percentage
as
of your
often
business.
as I can, as long as people qualify. And if they don't, then usually I go, if somebody wants like a CBO, even though now Moo is getting rid of the return of premium. But I would go to Moo return of premium to still get them the cash back option. If they have larger mortgages, like, $700K, $1 million mortgages, and they're young, I usually try to get them in an IUL. Or, I'll write NLG term if they just don't want to do an IUL. But, stop crying. Let me let my dog out. She's crying immediately.
That's awesome. We're dog friendly here at the Empower Hour. What kind of dog do you got?
A golden retriever. She's 8 months.
Oh my goodness, full of energy. I've got boxers, right? I've got Thor, who's a 16-month-old boxer, and then I got Opal. She's my old girl. She's 8, almost 9. And well, Johnna, thank you so much. How excited are you about the introduction of the IUL with America?
I'm stoked about that. I think it's going to provide so much value to people. And, I love IULs. It's just, I used to want to write like the cheapest, best thing. I mean, obviously NLG is the cheapest and has the best coverage and living benefits. If you know NLG, you know that. And I used to feel really bad if I wasn't writing NLG for people because I always like cared about people, wanted to get them the cheapest price. But the thing is, those policies will only issue about 50% of the time. You're going to have to deal with policy delivery requirements and things like that. They take forever to issue and pay you. And the fact of the matter is you have to prioritize your family just as much as you're, prioritizing the family that you're working with. I mean, your family is just as important. And also getting them protected is important. Getting them with a carrier that's going to get them covered right away is most important, because a lot of times, like I said, with these other carriers, they just, don't issue, and then you can't get a hold of the people again, and then it's done. So
yeah, I remember having conversations numerous times with carriers that took quite a while to go ahead and get the client approved. And I remember specifically one time I was talking with a carrier, and I said, my client could have passed away by now.
Yeah.
And they were taken aback by that. And so when you really truly care about the client, you want to go ahead and be able to put them in a pile, have the policy issued immediately. One of the things, I was talking about leads before. I think the one thing I just want to stress on that, and we're just going to touch base on it, and just kind of glaze over it a little bit, is all right. Lead spin's lead spin. If you want to go ahead and issue what John is issuing, you're going to have to, or whatever that amount is, you're just going to have to get uncomfortable and pick your card, like what Johnna said, right? And just get uncomfortable doing that, and just believe in yourself. Know that you're worth it. So the better you spend, the better that you're going to call the leads. You're going to protect the clients. I've never spent money on leads and not call somebody, right? I'm going to go ahead and do that now. But one thing I think that is even more important than that I want to ask you, Johnna, is when was it in your career that you decided you and your family were worth? When did you know your worth, and when did you flip the switch from selling the least expensive to the best?
Well, I would say it was what I got with the agency that I did, and the leader was just very much like pro America. Just explained what I explained to your team of how important it is to get people, covered on the spot, and that the way to be successful in this business is to write carriers that will pay you quickly, 48 hours, paid, because you need that income coming in so that you can buy your leads. The leads are expenses, no joke. It's even now, sometimes, like I going to convention, it's like I watch my bank account just drop because I went to convention. And now I got to spend another $4,000 on leads and watch it drop even more. And it still gives me anxiety because I'm like, okay, now I got to go out and write 20, 30K this week and, make sure I get my, my racks back up. So it's like,
That's I love it. Because you are worth it. Everybody here is worth it, right?
Yeah.
Of whatever it is that you want, you can achieve it. You just have to put in the damn work, and you have to invest in yourself. And so what I'm taking is right now to issue pay like 936 families or 1,000 families in a year. That lead spends about 4,000, right, a week. And
or more.
It's funny because I reverse engineered it because, Sean Mike put me and Mr. Ritter on the spot on stage and several others, as far as, how much are you going to issue pay? How much are you going to issue pay? And we stepped up, and said 1,000, right? And so I had to reverse engineer it. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be about 4,000 or more per week, right? You got to step it up. And so whatever it is for you, just go ahead and know that's your lead spend. You want to do 400 families, you can do 400 families. And that's going to probably be about 1,500 to 2,000 a week, right? But Johnna, thank you so much. What's your goal for this year?
My goal this year is to build an agency. Like Ed at corporate is really pushing me to actually hit the million mark this year. So I'm gonna keep up with my production, but yeah, I'm focused on building my agency. My agency, my upline is gonna help me with that. And I think that's really a big deal. Like your end game in this business, it has to be building an agency, because with what I'm doing, guys, like I can't tell you how many times I've burnt out, how many times I'm like, okay, like what's my end game? Like I have to make this happen. So at a certain point, you have to kind of shift the focus to that, and share this opportunity with people, focus on bringing 10 people a quarter in, and getting them going and focusing. Once you understand this business, you can teach it, plug them into what your team is doing and your resources. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Awesome. And what's your recruiting strategy? Is it warm market?
That's basically what it's going to be. We in our agency, we have some like recruiting leads that I'm going to be getting, and the idea is to do 10 recruits per quarter, get them writing at least a minimum of issuing 10K in their first month, and then every quarter hire 10 more and kind of build on that and get them up and running.
There you go. Well, Johnna, thank you so much. By the way, this has been recorded. It will be uploaded to my YouTube channel. Sue will make sure that you get a copy of that for promotional purposes for you. For anyone that is looking to go ahead and rewatch this incredible video, because Johnna just punched you in the mouth with golden nuggets, right? You can go ahead and watch that probably later on this afternoon. Just go ahead and to find it, just go to YouTube, do a search for Shannon Womble, Champions Financial Group. Okay.
And I'm going to drop my Instagram handles in the chat, guys, if you want to follow me on Instagram.
Isn't it Boss Baby Mama or something like that?
No, that is actually a different side hustle I was working on. It's kind of on the back burner right now, but there's actually a lot of money in digital marketing and
that on your page.
Yeah, and you can actually utilize social media for your insurance business. I don't know how many of you are at convention, but that was a big topic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's ways to utilize Instagram, with posting reels consistently, multiple times a day, and eventually you go viral doing stuff like that if you're putting out quality content, and that can also help boost your sales and your ability to recruit. So.
Absolutely. Well, Johnna, thank you. Oh, did you drop it in there in the chat?
I did. Yeah.
All right, cool. IG, I want to go ahead and make sure we got that. IG at Johnna.Komara and at FFL.Trinity. That's perfect. Well, Johnna, thank you so much. I truly appreciate everything that you poured into the team today. And everybody, just go ahead and drop some fire emojis, because that's exactly what Johnna brought today. She was fire. Thank you so much.